In January 1945, the Ardennes forest became a cathedral of ice. The temperature plummeted to 15 degrees, turning engine lubricants into a useless paste and making the steel of an M4 Sherman painful to the touch. Extreme environments degrade military discipline, pushing men to their absolute limits. Looking at this operational map of the Battle of the Bulge, we see the specific sectors where men of the U.S. 11th Armored Division collided with the 1st SS Panzer Division, the infamous Leibstandarte. A theoretical framework governed this conflict. The 1929 Geneva Conventions established a universally recognized set of rules for armed combat. Over the SS sector, that legal framework completely shattered. Weeks prior to this intersection, SS troops executed over 80 American prisoners of war in cold blood during the Malmedy massacre. During makeshift interrogations in the freezing snow, captured SS officers showed zero remorse. Through weary translators, they rejected Western military norms as decadent. One officer openly boasted about delivering the final shots into the heads of wounded American artillerymen. Orthodox military procedure dictates a specific response to this. A commanding general in 1945 is expected to initiate a formal legal inquiry, gather evidence from the field, and pursue a court-martial for the perpetrators. General George S. Patton, Jr. rejected the orthodox legal route. He made a calculated strategic decision to strip the SS of their combatant protections, aiming to accelerate the psychological collapse of the Third Reich. Patton read the interrogation reports at his forward command post. He deduced that the SS utilized fear as their primary weapon on the battlefield and viewed adherence to the Geneva Conventions as a critical weakness to be exploited. To counter this, he applied the legal and philosophical concept of the axiom of reciprocity to the rules of engagement. This binary tree maps out the conventional baseline for a captured soldier. Node A designates a lawful combatant. Because this soldier operates within the civilized rules of war, he is legally entitled to Geneva POW protections. The axiom of reciprocity introduces an alternative condition. If an opposing force explicitly and systemically rejects the legal frameworks of civilization, they forfeit the protections of those frameworks entirely. Node B classifies them as bandits, entitled to nothing. Patton used the enemy's boasts of a no-quarter policy to legally and morally justify his next move. He mentally transferred the SS into Node B. He remarked to his staff that the German soldier who rejects civilization is a barbarian who belongs to the epoch of the Goths. This reclassification redefined the SS within the Third Army's chain of command. They were no longer a conventional enemy to be defeated and paroled, but an ideological target to be systematically dismantled. The theoretical doctrine met battlefield reality on January 1, 1945, at the Belgian village of Chinon. Troops from the U.S. 11th Armored Division gathered approximately 60 German prisoners into a snowy field. Many of these prisoners belonged to the exact units responsible for the Malmedy atrocities. Within minutes, the Americans executed them with M1 Garands. Patton documented his reaction to this massacre in his diary. He noted that his men were green and operating in a state of mind that led to unfortunate incidents. He chose to conceal the event and protect the shooters rather than punish them. We can evaluate this command decision through a 2x2 risk assessment matrix to understand Patton's cold calculus. The x-axis measures legal risk to the commander, while the y-axis measures the strategic impact on enemy morale. Orthodox compliance sits in the bottom left. Initiating a court-martial for the Chinon shooters keeps Patton legally safe, but has zero psychological impact on hardened SS units.
Permitting a localized no-quarter policy sits in the extreme upper right. It carries immense personal and legal risk, but maximizes the psychological terror inflicted upon the enemy. Patton intended to invert the enemy's primary weapon against them. By proving that the Third Army could be more ruthless than the SS, he forced the Germans to experience the terror they had exported for 6 years. The operational goal of this terror tactic relied on breaking the German will to resist. If the SS realized surrender offered no guarantee of survival, their psychological cohesion would crack, theoretically reducing long-term American casualties. Patton's decision to ignore Chinon functioned as the deliberate battlefield testing of a terrifying new retributive doctrine. This ad hoc policy escalated massively in April 1945, immediately following the Third Army's liberation of the Ohrdruf concentration camp. The mechanical scale of the slaughter shifted Patton's focus. Seeing the industrial efficiency of the camp convinced him that the SS were not soldiers in the Western sense, but bureaucrats of a diseased ideology who required a total reckoning. He initiated an immediate psychological countermeasure. He forced the willfully ignorant local German civilians to march directly through the camp to witness the carnage and shatter their deniability. Patton then issued an official directive that institutionalized his earlier theories. Any SS troops found guarding these camps were classified officially as bandits and vermin. He stripped away the last remnants of the noble soldier myth. This directive triggered the darkest evolution of Patton's doctrine. His G2 intelligence section shifted from conventional reconnaissance into conducting a systemic shadow war. This network graph represents the new operational mandate for the G2 section. They actively tracked, interrogated, and preemptively eliminated SS leadership before the war could officially conclude. Intelligence officers identified specific individuals with blood-stained records. During interrogations, they stripped away the anonymity of the SS, isolating the high-value targets responsible for atrocities. Defiant SS officers were subjected to accelerated interrogations. Instead of reaching rear echelon POW camps, many simply vanished during transfers. Patton analyzed the future and saw a Europe plagued by Nazi insurgents, the so-called Werwolf units. By removing the SS leadership one forest clearing at a time, he was conducting a preemptive counterinsurgency, designed to kill the movement before the war could even end. Looking at this macro-level operational map from May 1945, we can evaluate the final results of this retributive doctrine across the vast U.S. Third Army sector in Bavaria. A stark contrast in surrender behaviors emerged. SS units in Patton's sector ceased fighting as a proud, defiant elite. They surrendered as broken, terrified men. The data bars on this map contrast the surrender rates. The rapid collapse of SS cohesion in Patton's sector indicates that existential dread successfully dismantled the Nazi Superman persona layer by layer. The US military defeated the SS's total war ideology by adopting the enemy's ruthless, extra-legal efficiency and applying it with overwhelming industrial force. This history exposes a severe paradox of modern combat. A democratic military utilized targeted terror and extrajudicial eradication to guarantee the survival of its post-war strategic objectives. Based on the historical data, we are left to evaluate the tension between the efficacy and the legality of a command decision that achieves peace through localized war crimes. To secure the future of Europe, Patton consciously buried the myth of the SS. He took the moral weight of those executions onto his own shoulders, choosing to become the monster that the monsters feared.